Thursday Thunder. Adrian.
Yeah.
We're back on a Thursday.
We are.
I think the last one was Monday Thunder. Ari just crossed out the Thursday.
It just said like
really creative. He put crossed out the
graphic design 101.
But we're back here on a Thursday. This is Thursday the 29th?
29th of August.
29th of August. And it is freezing here in Adelaide. Like the mornings have been like stupidly cold. And it's ridiculous and I'm over it.
It was 2 degrees this morning. 2.
It was most probably less than that where you live. According to my app, the northern suburbs, my place, when I left this morning for a walk, and I went out about pretty well dead on 6, it was 0.9.
Yeah. I was out like 6:15.
So at your place, it would have been the same.
Yeah, it was freezing.
Was cold.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yes.
Enough bitching about that. How's the prep?
Prep's going well. Can't complain.
No.
We trained legs earlier in the week and I got a huge headache and I'm looking out like I popped a blood vessel.
Yeah, well how's your eye now?
It's better now. Like it's actually, I don't know if it was a popped blood vessel, but it's definitely strange because like my eye hurts, my head hurts, and yesterday David's like...
You know, when my kids were growing up, every time they asked something that was something that we didn't want them to do, we said, yeah, you can do that when you start to bleed from your eyeballs. Or like, oh, I'm sick. If you're not bleeding from the eyeballs, you're going to school.
Yeah.
So you sort of had that.
I sort of had, but that was from training. That was from training legs.
That was a good leg.
4 exercises.
That was a good leg session.
Only
my
4
legs
exercises.
Still sore.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk a little bit about your prep.
Okay.
Which would be interesting for people, and your supplements. So I've got your supplement stack here.
Yep.
So pretty well, just go through the subs that you are using during your prep.
Alrighty.
So we'll start off here. So acetyl L-carnitine. We all know what that's for. That's for
fat burning and also helps me with a little nootropic first thing in the morning.
Yep. So how do you use that?
I add that literally. I don't really have a fat burner. I just wake up, have a little black coffee, and just go and chase it with water and a scoop of acetyl L-carnitine.
Scoop, like one scoop of
one
this?
Scoop, yeah, one dry scoop. It's about 3 to 5 grams.
Yeah. So that's what you use, and then you go out the door.
Out the door.
And you go do your walk.
Yep.
Morning walk. Okay. All right. This one was interesting that you have got the ATP Science Arum oil in there. Now, what do you use this for?
So I use
and
that.
When do you take it?
I use that first thing in the morning. Actually, when I wake up.
In conjunction with
that, I use that because I don't really think I get a lot of my essential fatty acids through my diet because I'm not a big fish eater. As of lately, I've started eating more fish, but I use the Arum oil to get all my essential fatty acids and my non-essential fatty acids. That's omega-3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and GLA. Yep. So these are all conditionally essential for the body.
Yep. So that's what that is. But this is not derived from fish. It's all derived from plants. Yeah. So it is also a vegan-friendly version. But it is a good, easy way to get in your essential fats. Like you said, if you don't, especially if you are on a comp prep and you're calorie deprived of certain things. Yep. And fats especially. Now, all right. So next up, we've got essential amino acids. Yeah. So this is your essential amino acids. This is by Sparta. Yes. So this has got all your branch chains as well as your 9 essential amino acids. 9 essentials, yeah. And when do you take this?
I take that, so I actually have 1 to 2 scoops throughout the day in 1 or 2 of these. So about 4.5 litres of water. Yep. Usually mixed with some carnitine in there as well, just to help me get through the day. Yep. But I use that primarily just to keep muscle protein synthesis as high as possible. Being on such a severe caloric deficit, I do need to keep my muscle protein synthesis higher than my muscle protein breakdown so I don't go into a catabolic state. Yep. And so far, I have actually gained muscle on my prep.
Yeah, well your last DEXA scan showed that you had built muscle while you lost body fat.
On a very low deficit, which is great.
Which can happen, it can happen. All right, next up is the good old staple creatine monohydrate. We just spoke about this in our last video last week. But as a recap, how much creatine do you take a day?
So I was using 20 grams a day up until maybe last week. And then now I've just gone down to a maintenance dose. Yep. So the maintenance dose is going to carry me through to comp. I'm not cutting it out. Jason probably going to cut it out sooner or later, just to draw water out. But I've been using that consistently, and I've really, I've maintained as much strength as I possibly can. And I just use it because of the myriad of health benefits that we've discussed.
Check out our video that we shot last week. We spoke extensively about creatine monohydrate and some of the latest studies in just normal health benefits.
If you look up
but as a strength athlete, it should be something that should be used all the time.
Yeah, if you look up on the ISSN or the JISSN, is they have the full journal and they've got their full statement of why people should use creatine. It's about 30 odd pages.
That's right.
Full of reports.
Yep, so definitely one that we recommend as a must supplement.
Yes.
Now this is interesting. You are using pure carbohydrates.
Yeah.
This one is the Gentech Pure Carbs. Now, most people will go around and go, oh my God, you're on a comp prep and you're adding carbohydrates into your thing. How do you use the pure carbs?
So I would use pure carbs in conjunction with my essential aminos during training. A lot of studies have proven that combining carbohydrates with essential amino acids can amplify insulin release and also make a sustained insulin release during training when your body needs it the most.
Exactly.
And that's in conjunction with essential aminos, not by themselves. So if you are taking carbohydrates during training, I would highly suggest using a BCA or an EAA with it as well.
Exactly right. And also, obviously, the carbohydrates replenishes the glycogen stores in the muscles. So post-workout, you will be absorbing your protein more efficiently. And we will now go on to your last one, which is your protein. And you have recently switched over to the No Whey protein, which we, again, recapped on in our previous video. So you're going to get a little bit more detail on why we use the collagen protein. But quickly, you use this.
I use this, believe it or not, in my first meal of the day, which is usually with oats, egg whites, and egg. I mix it all together, I make sure it's really aerated, put it into a pan, cover it, and make it into a huge pancake about that thick. So it just adds a little bit more flavour to it. As well as I had 2 scoops right after training.
Right after training. Obviously for your protein source, but also then helps with ligament and tendon strength.
Yeah, and that's been very, it's been very, what's the word I'm going for? Very beneficial.
Now this is your comp prep stack. But effectively, this is a stack that anyone can use.
Anyone can use.
There's nothing really on here that is, this is something that you use only during comp prep. As far as the only thing you most probably would drop out after is maybe carnitine, because you're not really in a fat burning state anymore. But effectively, all of these here would be something that I'm sure you would just keep all the time.
I would definitely use this year round. It's just primarily I use it just to hit all my micronutrients and my essential nutrients throughout my diet.
What about then? Do you use a pre-workout?
Oh, I do use a pre-workout. I use any pre-workout we have here. If it's something new, I'll give it a try. If it's something that we get in that we got to think of particularly stocking, we'll try. If I feel a bit too stimmed out, I'll switch to a non-stim, like something like a Big Noise or Mega Pre-White, something that's going to help with nitric oxide and vasodilation. But above all, my stack stays pretty much the same year round.
Interesting. Very good. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Anyway, let's move on. We'll quickly do there's some news.
Alrighty.
So just Olympia's now, and I think this weekend it's 2 weeks out.
Yes, it is.
So this weekend, 2 weeks out. So there was all these rumours that we've been covering and who's competing and who's not, etc. Well, Kai's out because Kai's in India filming a movie, a Bollywood movie.
Making a lot more money than anyone at the Olympia.
Yeah, exactly right. So, I mean, we touched on that Kai might be competing, but we pretty well said that he wasn't.
There's not much point for him to do that.
No. Brandon Curry is looking massive. So he's the only one that's really been putting up pictures. Luke Sandow put a couple of photos yesterday, and he's looking really, really good. But Curry was just looking like a cloud.
More of the 212s I'm seeing a lot of photos of. A few 212s looking insane.
Derek Lunsford will.
Yes, oh my god, that shape. His quads were like squares.
A lot of people have been saying, why is Roden training and looking like he's prepping, which he is. We touched on that as well. He does, it's been confirmed that he does have a team of lawyers working in the background to see if they can somehow turn around his ban. So he is prepping, but more than likely he's going to do the Italian show, pro show, which is I think a week after.
Okay, yeah.
And Big Rami guest posed in America over the weekend and looked really good.
Looked
and
really
he's
good.
obviously in prep as well. And the rumor is that Rami and Roden will compete in this Italian
That'd be a good show.
show, which is 1 week after the Olympics. I think it's 1 or 2 weeks. I think it is 1 week out. So that'll be the first qualification for the 2020 Olympia. So Rami obviously wants to get that out of the way, but Roden could throw a spanner in there.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that post-Olympia show will be massively interesting.
Yeah, I'm actually more. Rolly's put up a few photos. Rolly's put up very little photos, but he put up one recently of his legs, of his glutes and hamstrings, and the actual post was making Grandma proud. That made me giggle, but he looked really good. But he's also looking.
I'm scared Rowley has gone back to playing the size game, and he's going to come in, thick-waisted and just way too big for what he can carry on his body, which is what he was doing before. And then last year he downsized and was third in the Olympia, won some pro show, and just placed everywhere really well. I got a feeling that he's playing that size game.
Yeah. Well,
what was interesting, going back to Curry, Curry put up a couple of videos. He's been putting up some videos. Those videos are filmed in Kuwait. He's still in Kuwait. He's prepping there. But what Jason Bednarz, our Salisbury manager, noticed yesterday, that the person that was filming those videos was an Adelaide guy.
Oh, really?
Andy Crawford.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, very interesting.
And remember Andy Crawford?
I remember
Andy Crawford is a pro. He's an Australian pro. He's only competed once, did terribly in the couple of shows he did. But Andy disappeared pretty well off the face of the earth a couple of years ago. But he was, because you could see the person filming then went into like the mirror. And it was Andy.
Interesting.
And then Curry had pointed out on a couple of things, like thanks to Andy for filming, rah, rah, rah. And in this quick glimpse, Andy Crawford looked massive.
Really? I have to have the quick look.
Yeah, so interesting news. All right, we will quickly touch on a few studies that have been coming out.
Yes.
So, we like going through these because these tend to dispel a lot of the things that are going around.
They seem to cut down the scientific terminology and just go right to layman's terms, which is very easy for a lot of people to.
So these are, I get these off the bio Lane Norton's Instagram site. So Lane Norton is one of these guys who really likes science and everything backed up by science. So he puts up every now and then these studies that he finds. So the first one here is truth about fat burning, and this is particularly covering a high fat diet. So some people turn around and say, keto, etc., high fat diet, etc. So so in a high fat diet, you oxidize more fat because you're eating more fat. Well, that makes common sense. If you haven't got any carbohydrates or glycogen, your body's going to be oxidizing fat because that's what you're putting in there. Your body is simply using the fuel you give it. This does not mean you will lose more body fat though. During low intensity cardio, you burn more fat and less carbohydrates, but then you burn more carbohydrates and less fat throughout the day. So that's interesting. So in the end, whether you gain or lose fat will depend on your energy balance. Hence,
more calories in, more calories out.
Calories in versus calories out, which is exactly what these studies always end up showing. So that was interesting, but pretty much, as far as I learned, to me, it was common sense. Interval training and fat loss. All right, this is always an argument. People talk about
what's better, HIIT or LISS or faster.
So if you've got steady state, interval training is often promoted because of the calories that it burns after exercise is done. So what a lot of people prefer is that once you finish your high intensity session, your body will continue to burn calories for a long time. Now this is an interesting study that was done. It was a steady state, 30 minutes at 70% volume max, or interval 20 by 1 minute intervals at 105% volume max. All right. So after exercise, the interval group burned 64 calories, while the steady state group burned 32 calories. Now, look, some people will argue and say, yeah, but the interval group burned twice as much.
Yeah.
But we're just saying 64 versus 32, which is like nothing.
Nothing. It's literally like a teaspoon.
So high interval training might be a fun way to do cardio, but may not burn as many calories post-exercise as people think.
But you know what burns more calories after anything? Lifting weights.
Exactly right.
You continue to burn calories the entire day.
Exactly right.
After lifting weights.
Yes, and there's been lots of studies comparing lifting weights, heavy weight session versus a long cardio session.
Yep.
And the people who trained weights burnt more calories longer and more afterwards. This is an interesting one on fasting and metabolism. Again, intermittent fasting is a big thing.
Yep.
I'll talk about my experience with this in a minute.
Yeah, you did that for several months.
Yes, I did interval fasting for a while. So they compared metabolic rate and substrate oxidization in people having breakfast versus fasting. All right, so the interesting thing was, again, this might be interesting, but it's common sense.
Yeah.
It sounds like common sense. The fasting group used more fat in the morning. That's because there was obviously no food.
There was no carbohydrates.
No food or
substrates. Yep.
The breakfast group used more fat in the evening. Now, obviously, they're not going to be using more fat in the morning because they're introducing all this food.
Yeah.
So over 24 hours, they both oxidized the same total carbs and fats and had a similar metabolic rate, which means there was no difference.
Yeah.
All right, now I'll tell you about my experience with intermittent fasting. So I did that I reckon I did it for 6 months.
You did it for a long time, for at least 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, so basically I had my first meal after midday, usually about 12:30, 1 o'clock, and then tried, and I'll put this emphasis on this word tried, to get my normal meals in for the rest of the day up until 9 p.m.
Yes.
So I ate between around 12:30, 1 o'clock and 9 p.m. After 9 p.m. I didn't eat again until the following day at 1 p.m. So my experience was that, one, I struggled to get the same amount of meals in.
Yep.
And I often missed a meal. Hence, I lost some body fat. But as far as I'm concerned, that was because I dropped one of my meals.
Yep.
Hence, calories in versus calories out. Now, so I dropped some weight. Now I've started to have my normal meals pretty well. I go on my walk like you do in the morning, and I will have my breakfast, and I've started having breakfast, and I'll have another meal then about 10 or 11 o'clock, and so gone back into the normal split. My weight when I finished intermittent fasting was low 77. Around about 77. I dropped from about 81 to 77, so I dropped about 4 kilos. I have now pretty well for the last month just been eating normally. When I want to eat, basically, I'm getting all my meals in, plus most probably eating a little bit more because I'm hungry.
Okay.
And I'm back up to 80. But my body fat has pretty well stayed the same.
And the only thing you've really done differently from there, rather than eating normally, is you've introduced your 10,000 steps per day. So you've increased your non-exercise active thermogenesis by just moving more.
Exactly right.
So you burnt more calories throughout the day while offsetting with eating more.
That's right. So that is interesting. So so that was interesting, and that pretty well just boils down to that once I stopped intermittent fasting, I increased my calories and hence my body weight went back up. But like I said, what has been really good is that my body fat percentage has pretty much stayed the same.
I will touch base on one thing with calories in versus calories out. It is that simple on the surface, but if you want to get more into detail, more into the minutiae details, there's a lot more levels that go into it. But if you're looking to lose weight, just start by reducing your calories.
That's the first thing you should be doing.
Yes.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. So that is the first thing you should be doing.
A lot of people say, but I got to get my digestion right, but I've got this, but I got that, but I'm taking this medication, taking that. Yes, these all factor in at the end of the day, but just by reducing it, just by a handful of food a day, you'll realize, I've dropped, X amount of weight today.
Exactly right.
So just start there, And once you start getting to the point where it's like nothing is moving, nothing's changing, I'm eating less, I'm dropping, then it might be like a hormonal or a food imbalance somewhere, or that's when you start going freaking out and taking everything under the sun to make it better.
But most people don't put themselves into that calorie deficit to start off with. And then they'll blame something else, but they're not simply in a calorie deficit. It's as simple as that. That is it. So that was interesting, considering I walked in and thought we have got nothing to talk about. But no, that was really good. Thanks for your supplement input. Okay. That was really good. And like I said, that stack is, I mean, some people might look at it as an extreme stack, but it's not. It's a good basic stack. Whether you're trying to lose fat or build muscle.
My overall thing is just keep myself as healthy as possible while putting my body into a severe amount of stress.
Exactly right. That's about it. Don't forget, we have got our specials which are continuously running at the moment in store and in line. So if you spend over $350, you will get 15% off your whole purchase. If you buy 3 or more ATP products, you get 15% off. If you buy 3 or more Ghost products, you get 15% off.
Yes.
And don't forget, we have got our gold standard on Optimum Nutrition Proven campaign. Is still running, so heavily discounted. Just quickly having a look, we've got the 5 pound Optimum Whey is only $79.99. And the 10 pound is only $149.99. And in store you get a instant scratchy ticket. And we gave away our first Fitbit last week. I
saw that, yes.
Ari at the Millswood store, I was actually there when that happened. And the gentleman won the Fitbit, and he was stoked.
I bet he would be.
I also had another guy who came in and bought an Amino Energy because it's only $24.99. That's correct?
Yep.
Yes. And he bought one of those, and he scratched his ticket, and he won an Amino Energy. And he goes, well, they're $24.99, I'm going to buy another one. And he bought another one, scratched the ticket, and won a shaker.
There you go. He walked out spending $50 and getting 100 million products.
That's right.
It's awesome.
So that is still running. The scratchy tickets obviously run until they're sold out, but the price discounts will last until the end of September. That's it. Thanks guys for listening and for viewing. Don't forget, this episode, as always, is brought to you by Australian Muscle and Australian Muscle the Gym. And online with
Free Australia-wide delivery.
Free Australia-wide delivery. See you next week.
Bye-bye.